Hi everybody, we're going to be talking to Guruji about chakras, and I apologize for the Wednesday morning delay. Chakras. Hi Shriyanka, hi with Guruji. I'm gonna pin my comment. Yeah, 8:30 in the morning sometimes gets a little tricky. Giving breakfast to my girls and just getting the day started. But I'm sure Guruji will join us in no time. And of course, this is a very important topic, right? Because our generation is obsessed with chakras, including me. But what really are they? What do they mean? What each chakra symbolizes? Let's hear it all from Guruji. Hi, Murphy. Hi, Hardik. I think this is a really interesting topic for Indians as well as non-Indians, because really the whole world is exploring chakras. Guruji has sent a request to be in the video. Hi, Dheeraj. Hi, Swaraj. Hi, Pallavi. Guruji. Pranam.
Pranam, how are you?
I'm very well, Guruji. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
More of the same, huh, Guruji? More of the same lockdown, more of the same new life.
True.
So, Guruji, very interesting topic today. I'm surprised we didn't end up talking about it for so many months, because it's such a vastly talked about topic and it has gained so much interest everywhere in the world.
Mhm.
Chakras.
Good.
Yeah, great topic. It was suggested by Krishna ji, and I said, "Oh, I'm surprised we didn't think about this before, because, of course, it is such a topic to be talked about."
True. Yes.
So, so Guruji, tell us, everybody has heard of chakras. How is it in one sentence, if we have to define, if it's possible, what are chakras for somebody who has no idea? Let's start there.
Okay. The word meaning chakra is a wheel or the energy which is coiled in, and through that coil, energy is stored. That is what is meant by chakra in yoga.
Okay. Okay. It's a wheel of energy, coiled
It's an
energy.
energy, yeah, it's a energy storehouse, like a wheel. Yes.
Got it. Okay, Guruji. And in our body, right, in our energy centers, they talk about body having those chakras as energy centers. What are they in our body? And what function do these chakras serve? And then we can take one chakra at a time. So the few things I want to tell you, Guruji, that I was really curious about and I wanted to cover is what are the functions of these chakras? And we'll take them one at a time. If they are connected to the endocrine glands, right, Guruji? Now today, when you and I talked last few times, and we mentioned
True.
that the hormones that are released, it's all addiction of those hormones. How are they connected to the chakras? If they're connected to
Mhm.
all our glands and our endocrine system, and then we can talk about what we can do to explore these chakras and release these energies further. We can take as the last part of this if we still have the time. Otherwise, we'll move it into a second time. So, when it comes to the
Sure.
human body, Guruji, what are these chakras in relation to a human body, and what function do they serve?
These chakras are closely associated with the energy sources in the universe. So, the origin of this science is Tantra Yoga that we discussed earlier. So, each and every molecule in this nature, I mean, macro, is a manifestation or a part of the, I mean, micro and the macro.
Right.
If we consider our life as a micro, we are closely associated with the macro. So the universal energy is interacting with us through 7 chakras. These are called like Sapta Adhara in yoga. Adhara means the foundation through which energy is manifesting or activating. So now when we calculate this one, our top Adhara, which we call the crown chakra, Sahasradhala Padma, and the Mooladhara. These two centers are not in contact directly with us or our senses. Now we are trying to bring an incomprehensible action to a comprehensive level. So this should, all listeners should be aware of this. We are talking something which is beyond our senses. And we try to explain through the senses. This awareness should be there. So Sahasradhala Padma or Mooladhara, both are not under explanation or within the limit of our understanding. But in between, 5 centers are there, which called Panchadhara. These are Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, and Ajna. They are located in the genital organ, genital area, that is Swadhisthana. Then navel, it's Manipura. The other one is in heart chakra, Anahata. The other one is in throat, Vishuddhi. The 5th one is the center of eyebrows, Bhrumadhya. Ajna chakra. These 5 centers are being controlled by the 5 elements through which we are existing. Like food, water, heat, air, and space. These are called Panchabhuta, the basic elements. So these 5 elements are working through these 5 basic chakras. The genital is connected with the earth element. Then the navel is connected with the water element, and Anahata is connected with the heat, fire element, and throat is connected with the air element, and the Bhrumadhya, center of eyebrows, is linked with the space, ether. That is why in all yogic traditions, when you go to the advanced level of practice, you will be asked to recite a mantra. There are 2 mantras, Vachya and Moola. Vachya means which can be verbalized, which can be recited. So the basic mantra is Panchakshari. Panchakshari means 5 letters are there. Na, Ma, Shi, Va, Ya. Na represents the Swadhisthana, Ma is for Manipura, Shi for the Anahata, Va for the Vishuddhi, and Ya for the Bhrumadhya. Yes, when we recite that mantra in a systematic way with the guidance of an experienced master, we can feel that energy is being focused over there. Mind will be focused over there. Then slowly we can raise to Shadakshari, Hrim Namah Shivaya. Then we can go to Om Hrim Namah Shivaya. That is Saptakshari. So Sapta Adhara will be connected with Om from the crown of head. Then Hrim will go to the Mooladhara. Then Namah Shivaya will work in between. So this Parash Shiva and Parashakti are working like positive and negative or top to bottom. In between, 5 elements are functioning to activate our 5 senses, which will be our material apparent world. That is why there is a god in yoga or Indian philosophy which is called Panjabana or Kamadeva. Kama means the desire, the material desires. So that god is, this peculiarity of that god is, he is having 5 arrows, 5 arrows of desires. So he is always being a support of Parashakti or goddess Parvati. He is not well in tune with the Shiva, because Shiva is separated. He wants to meditate more. So when Parvati become a little bit tired of having that, seclusion, she will call Kamadeva and he will send the arrow to Shiva. Then Shiva will be engaging himself into material world. So this is the story part. But what we have to understand is the top area, crown chakra, is for Parashiva, Muladhara for Parashakti. Then the positive and negative energies are working. In between, 5 elements are being activated. When we have this awareness, mind is focused with the 7 chakras, we will have a centralized thought. This is the significance of chakras in basic level. Of course, in higher levels, there are different explanations.
Okay, Guruji, I'll explain this. I'll summarize this first because you want to take it to the next level as well. Okay. So chakras are these energy centers represented by wheels, stored energy, and they are also present in our body. They are really the centers which allow our human body, right, like the microcosm and the macrocosm to interact. The universal energies will interact with us according to the energetic flow of our chakras. These chakras are 7 in number, and I'm going to just narrate them for anybody who's listening. There is Muladhar, which is the base chakra. There is Swadhisthana below the navel. There is Manipur at the navel. There is Anahat at the heart. There is Vishuddha in the throat. There is Agnya, or Guruji calls it Bhrumati, out here. And there's Sahasra Padma chakra here on the top. Now, out of these 7 chakras, the base chakra and the top chakra, they are a little bit more mystical, you can say, or incomprehensible to us through our senses. They really are the doors, the front door and the back door to this great connection with the cosmos. They're a little bit more there. And they're also serving as positive and negative energies, which kind of really allow this top and bottom to kind of, create that energy flow, because you need those opposing energies. I think Guruji is frozen, but I'm going to go on with my with my chain of thought for anybody who's listening. So they really form the positive, negative energies so that we can have this great energy flow through our spine. Now, what Guruji said is that the 5 chakras in between are related to the 5 elements and are a little bit more worldly and a little bit more comprehensible. The 5 elements, I think Guruji is going to come back on, guys. So the 5 chakras in between are related to the 5 elements. The genitalia or the Swadhisthana, which I thought was related more to water, Guruji says is related to earth. The Manipura or your navel is connected to water. The Anahat is connected to fire. The Vishuddhi is connected to air. And the Agnya is connected to ether. Now, I think if these elements you're not familiar with, I don't think this is really important. For those who are not familiar with the elements. I do a lot of work with the elements, so it's very, very relevant to me. Now, what Guruji said is that through these 5 centers, right, there is more worldly interaction happening, and through the top and the base, they are more cosmic in their nature. Even though all of them are cosmic, all of them really facilitate a cosmic energy flow. And of course, energies are kind of latent, right? So there is no smooth flow of energy from the Muladhar to the Sahasra Padma. And that is really what Kundalini awakening, I'm guessing, is, which really allows for that energy flow to happen with the positive and the negative. I'm just trying to see if I missed anything from Guruji's explanation, or we have it all done. So what we're going to go and ask Guruji is what each of these chakras represent for us. Guruji.
I think there is a problem with the network. I don't know.
I think so, Guruji. I think so in your end. Maybe, is it raining there, Guruji?
It's raining heavily.
Okay. No wonder, Guruji. I think that's the next few months are going to be like that in out there. Okay, Guruji. So I just summarized, for anybody who had joined late, I just summarized the names of the chakras, the relationship with the element. And then I also said that because of this positive and negative, and this main connection, this front door and this back door, and, the fact, right, Guruji? So now the thing is, correct me if I'm wrong. You said that the wheels are, these wheels are where energy is stored. And most of these wheels for us are not really moving. They're kind of, the energy is trapped. So eventually, if the energy would be moving, we would have like a great circulation through the Muladhara and the Sahasra Padma of energy. But that might be lacking. The one thing I did not summarize what Guruji said is that Nama Shivaya is a 5-syllable mantra, right? Na is for your the Swadhisthana. Yeah, earth element, your Swadhisthana chakra, the second chakra. So from second to sixth, they're a little bit more worldly. Ma is your belly button or water. Na, ma, shi is your heart, which is your Anahat chakra or heat element. Va is Vishuddha chakra, or which is your Vayu, air element. And Shiva, ya is Agnya chakra. And then as you do this and you can get some of the energy flowing in these 5 chakras, then you kind of become eligible to eventually also stimulate the base chakra, which is green. And then the top chakra, which is Om. So it becomes Om Greem Namah Shivaya.
Yes.
Okay, Guruji. Okay, great. So Guruji, now can we take one chakra at a time and talk about what its significance is? What is its communication with the cosmos? What is its communication? Because I'm thinking these are like really connectors to the Brahmand, to the cosmos and to us. So what is that energy exchange that's happening with the Muladhara or the base chakra, which is, let's start there, Guruji. Because I think that's what we're all very curious to know. I'm super curious to know.
See, again, as I told you before, things are not easy to understand or bring it into the limit of or the frame of our senses. So Muladhara is the source of our cosmic existence. From that, energy is slowly released to activate the 5 centers, because these 5 centers are being affected or attracted to that energy. And in Muladhara energy is not very concerned with these 5 elements, 5 chakras. Its prime idea is to get connected with the Sahasrara. That is why Parashakti is being trapped in the Muladhara, and she kept on trying to reach to Parashiva, her husband. So because of that effort, the energy is slowly released, but these 5 centers are becoming a block. It's like an obstacle for the Muladhara, the Parashakti, to get connected with the Parashiva. So actually, in material world or in yogic way, we can say these 5 centers are the obstacles for the Parashakti or Devi to connect it with the Parashiva. So this is the hindrance. In yoga, we are removing these obstacles. For what? To allow Parashakti to, blossom up the way she is. So that is why we have to go through this parityaga. Whatever is tempting you through the senses, you have to renounce it as a basic practice of yoga. That renunciation is symbolized as our Ganesha. Have you heard about Lord Ganesha? Who is having an elephant head? There are stories, fun stories about the birth and existence and the fact behind Ganesha. But actually, Ganapati means Gananam Pati Ganapati. Gana means gathering, collections. Our existence, our ego or our personality is a collection of informations came through the senses, 5 senses. That is what is making us, giving us the feeling of me and mine. So these 5 centers, these 5 hindrances should be removed. In Sanskrit, it's called Vighna. Vighna means obstacle. So when we practice Kundalini Yoga in its real sense or real and scientific way, these chakras will be pierced one by one. It will be removed. That removal of obstacle is called Vighneshwara, a god who is removing the obstacles. That is why in India, anybody who starts something, they will do a Ganesha Puja, thinking that all obstacles will be removed. But in fact, the reality is the 5 obstacles which are, blocking us from self-realization is the, 5 centers. So when we remove this one, or we are supposed to remove, then there will be a trunk-shaped track opened in our body through which Kundalini can get connected with the Sahasradala Padma. Or Parashakti will easily be linked with the Parashiva. Then that person is transforming himself into or herself into the Ganesha. That is what is called a yogi. Yoga means the connection or the union between the Parashiva to Parashakti. Then again, this is again high level practice of yoga or Kundalini yoga. For an ordinary person, these chakras are energy sources which will give us, comfortable material life. But if these centers are fogged or, covered with mud or something, like you take a magnet or a bulb, it is shining. But if it is covered with mud, the light cannot come out properly. Or a magnet which can extend or send its energy, the magnetic field, if it is blocked with some wooden things, that vibes, that magnetic vibration cannot reach to the target. Same way, due to the lack of practice, systematic cleansing, yoga is some kind of cleaning. If we don't know how to clean the chakras, naturally these chakras will be covered with the mud of ignorance. That will block us from the proper interaction between the energy sources from nature and ourselves. So if a person is eating wrong food and like wrong timing, wrong quantity, wrong quality, what will happen? This mud or the dirt will be covering this chakra, and that will bring down, it will weaken the chakra, and gradually that person will find diseases due to the problem of the earth element or the Swadhisthana chakra. If that chakra is kept very clean and strong and alive, that person may not be very yogic minded, but that person can be very successful in that field, especially when earth element is more active. That person's personality will be very much appreciated by himself. That means he will have self-confidence. So internally, he will be having that pride of having the strength and the cleanness. That is why in Ayurveda, anybody who comes due to any reason or any sickness, first Anna Bhavandi Bhodani. So Anna means the basic chakra should be cleansed. That is why food will be used as medicine. After cleaning that basic chakra, the basic chakra, then we will think of the water element. That is the another chakra. Have you got a fair idea about this?
Yeah, Guruji. I want to just kind of repeat it before we go on, just so that we have the flow. So what Guruji said is that the Mooladhara chakra, the base chakra, really wants to unite with the head chakra, right? With the Sahasra Padma, because that's the magnetic force. But it's like this. Imagine if we had blocked 2 magnets of opposite with like different, let's say with different hooks, then they would not find their way to each other. So similarly, Mooladhara cannot find, that energy cannot find its way up to Sahasra Padma, where it really wants to go, because of these 5 chakras which may not be cleansed, right? Which keep, because they are so associated with our worldly life, the five elemental chakras in between, associated with the five elements, with the five senses. They allow us to have this sensory engagement. And as we continue to have this sensory engagement, more and more dust collects in these chakras. The energy gets blocked even further. And we are constantly blocking energy. Through yoga, that energy, the wheel has to start moving. As we live in the sansar and we keep gathering dust, we need to have a constant practice of removing that dust, of allowing that wheel to rotate, of allowing that energy to flow. Because when all of that released, all of that trapped energy is released, that's when Muladhara can find its way to Sahasra. Guruji talked about the first chakra after Muladhara, which is the Swadhisthana, which is associated with the element of earth. Earth is most closely associated with anna, or food. And when that chakra, like for example, all diseases, because it's such a dense, it's more of a gross chakra. It has higher density, right, Guruji? It has higher density than the other chakras. So diseases, when there's dust, diseases can be associated. And that's why we use food as medicine. And food is such an important part of this because it's so closely connected to that chakra, which is the first barrier to your Muladhara finding its way up. Does it make sense, Guruji?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So then, Guruji, and maybe we don't have to take this today, Guruji, but maybe we can take this the next time. That how. So like in the West, and even I actually feel, not in the West, but generally when I've read about the chakras, and I feel like I also have this experience that certain chakras are associated with certain emotions. Like the lower chakras are more associated with like fear and guilt and shame. And all of that, those emotional associations change as we go higher. Is that relevant? Is that true? Is that something we can talk about?
Of course, it's relevant. There, we have to understand the basic chakra or the Swadhisthana. See the meaning of that word, Swadhisthana. Swa means the feeling of I and the personality, or we can say ego. Adhisthana means the seat.
Sorry, Guruji, my daughter's class has started. Okay. Just telling her.
The seat of our ego or our personality is there. That's why it's called Swadhisthana. And that is the most integrated or converged molecules. There, we call in Sanskrit, it's called Khara. Khara means solid thing. When we see the solid thing, apply heat over there, what will happen? It will lose its, the tenacity will be lost. Once that molecule lost its tenacity, it will become liquid. There we can see it's risen up little. That is Manipura. Again you heat it. Then the tenacity of the liquid also will be lost. Then it will become heat. Again, heat it. It will become air, subtle air. Heat it. It will dissolve into space, sound. So from the sound also, if you remove the heat from that, it will converge itself into air. Then again you take that heat from that, it will be heat. Then heat will be condensed. You will get water. Water will be condensed. Again you will get solid things. So this is a journey between the gross to the subtle. So the visible to the invisible. Tangible to the intangible. So or human to God. So this is what is happening. So it's a journey through 5 elements. Then when we focus more on Swadhisthana, there you will feel a man is saying that I am a man because he has a genital as manhood. A lady is saying that, oh, I am a woman because she has that organ. Then her ego or his ego will be developed based on that feeling. How attached with that area will reflect as a character. Then when if we go little up, then Manipura is dealing with the other reproductive and digestive activities. That person will be enjoying a wonderful food and he can be a foodie. Because in Tamil it's called pashi. Pashi means the hunger. So digestion, food related, or then the energy or the strength related to food, he can have his identity based on that. The other chakra is the anahata. Anahata is the feeling of mamata. Mamata means it's a language of heart. He can feel others' pain or pleasure beyond the senses. That is why usually we say, hey, you please speak through your heart or think through your heart. So brain is having more, like intellectual information, but heart is the center of the feeling. Then when a person is getting more strength or coordination or domination in the visibility area, he or she will be a good orator. The words will be very powerful. The personality of that person will be connected with the intellectual knowledge. Then if we reach over there, that person will be having an insight about these 5 chakras. Mostly good physicians or some faith healers or different kinds of, like service to society in a divine way, spiritual way, that person will be very effective in that field. So all these chakras are significant in different character levels.
So what does that mean to us, Guruji? Does it mean that if I want to focus on a certain chakra, I focus on that kind of activity? Or is that something, so let's say, Guruji, if somebody is obsessed with the Swadhisthana chakra and it's just limited to that level of activity, ignoring everything else, and he wants to not, and now he has the awareness and he doesn't want to just be that. What is it that he should do? How is it that you go on rising from these chakras? And do you really go rising from these chakras? What is the protocol?
If somebody feels that he or she trapped into one chakra, if that awareness itself is enough for getting into a yoga class. When we try yoga or proper breathing technique, what will happen? All other chakras or the kundalini will be activated further, which will take out that person's slavery from that particular center. If somebody is linked with or entrapped within the Swadhisthana, when he practices yoga, that trap will be open. This is what is happening. We are undoing our limitations. If somebody is linked with or trapped in Anahata chakra, and that feeling or that character behavior is giving him trouble, if he feels that no, I don't want, I cannot hold on further, then he can do yoga. He can release himself from that slavery. So we can play with any chakra if we know how to deal with the kundalini. I mean the spinal cord.
And of course, so when Guruji is talking about yoga, I just want everyone to know it's not just yoga asana, it's all the different levels of tapasya, different things, right? Like Guruji, you said even Chittavritti Nirodha is where you start. Yamani, everywhere, it's not just asana. Whether
Yeah,
it's
of course.
it's all the 8 branches depending on what you need to utilize at that point. So what you're saying, Guruji, is wherever you're feeling the trap, anywhere that you're feeling the trap, and you're feeling that kind of so I feel that mostly uneasy energies, right, that we carry, or every time that we go off center, and we can feel it, Guruji, right, that we're feeling uneasy, there's arati. It's usually associated, is it usually associated with one or the other chakra?
It is associated with all chakras, but some of these chakras will be dominating. That is what we recognize. Nobody can just keep engaged with only one chakra. Even if I focus on my Ajna chakra when we get into a talk, all other chakras will be complementing that action. But if I feel that I am totally entrapped into that behavior or that character, then I should do some conscious work to unravel that slavery.
So what kind of
That is what
conscious
really
work?
happens.
Right,
Yeah.
Guruji. So let's just say somebody who's obsessed with food, right? And, his very existence is based on food, which means everything that they do is about food. They also use food to deal with their emotions, that every time they feel negative, they go and they eat food, or they use food for control. And, it's all really around that food, which happens a lot, Guruji, here in the West as well. So at that, for that person, so of course, yoga is one of them. But for example, what other kind of exploration can they do to clean this dust off those chakras?
Just like yoga is the best and effective. All other things will be little bit, finding a shelter in somewhere it's not permanent, a temporary way. Like as you said, somebody is emotionally upset or angry with somebody, they will go and eat. Actually, they are shifting their attention from one action to another. But I know many people, if they are upset, if he is a musician, he will play his guitar or some musical instrument, or that person will go for a like a journey. It's like a pilgrimage. So these are all simply deviating our attention from one particular thought to another one. But if you want to heal or rectify that issue forever, yoga is the only remedy.
Okay, Guruji. So when it comes to dealing with chakras and removing the dust from chakras, and you talk about yoga, where is it that somebody starts in their yoga journey for specifically this purpose? Besides, so the breath
Only
retention is one thing. Where else do they start?
the tool of cleansing this chakra is prana. Yadha prana, tadha mana. Or yadha mana, tadha prana. Where your mind is focused, prana, energy, vitality will be reaching there.
Got it.
Or you guide your prana to a particular area, your mind will be reaching there. So prana and mind, they are complementing each other. If you do the retention, as I told you before, like minimum 24 minutes, practice Kumbhaga, then send your attention from top to bottom, then top to bottom, bottom to top. So like that, you have to practice. Did I tell you a story of like a farmer and a demon? I think we discussed once.
Which one, Guruji? We have heard so many stories. Tell us, which story are we talking about now?
One farmer used to visit a guru. So the farmer was, living near a forest. So in the forest there was a guru. So farmer used to visit him and ask for help. So one day the guru will say that, Guru said to him that when you reach home, there will be a demon waiting for you. So he is a magical demon. So you ask anything to him, he will provide you. So no need to come back to me again. So, but one problem, if that demon is kept idle, he will eat you up. So engage him with some kind of works. Then this guy said, no problem, Guruji, I have lot of things to do.
Yeah, we've not heard this story.
As this farmer reached to his house, he saw the demon was waiting there. So demon told him, I am your slave. Get me some job. So the farmer said, okay, prepare a long, huge farm field. So this guy is very magical. He prepared one huge farm field. Then he said, okay, build a palace for me. So this guy made it in no time. Then he said, okay, bring thousands of cows. That also brought. To a farmer, that was his dream. Huge farm field, a palace for his stay, and the thousands of cows. What else? Farmer had, got everything according to his wish. Then the demon wanted to eat him up. So the farmer ran back to the master, fell on his feet, and asked for shelter. Then master asked him, "Why are you back? Because have you not got everything?" He said, "I got everything, but now I don't want anything except my life, because the demon is waiting there." So master said, "Okay." There was a banyan tree. Then asked the farmer to give instruction for the demon to climb up and down. Then farmer came out and he said, "Come on, now you have the job." So the demon started climbing up and down. He came to know that he is trapped. When that work is going to finish? Then the demon came back to the farmer and said, "Let us compromise now. You call me whenever you are in need, then I will work for you. Now let me go. Make me free." So he made him free. Everybody became happy, and story finished. Just in India, each and every story will be having a proper message inside. Can you trace out the message?
I know. I feel like this up and down is definitely the energy flow that we do, up and down, up and down.
Of course. See, that demon is magical demon is our mind. And the farmer is our limited ego, the feeling of I, me, and mine. We need many possessions. That possessiveness is representing this farmer. And the master is our self. Self knows everything. He is eternally free. So if we engage our mind for getting something, there is no end. That mind will eat us up. But if we engage the mind to do something without a reward, so the climbing up and down is only an action, a karma, but no result. If mind is engaged to do a nishkama karma, a work without an expectation of reward, then that mind will be becoming our slave.
Tamed.
Otherwise, we are all enslaved with our own mind. This is the message. And the tree in which the demon was asked to climb is our spinal cord. Mooladhara stu brahmarandra pariyandam sushubna surya abha tandu sukshma kundalini. So if we train our mind to move up and down, then the mind will become our slave. When the mind becomes our slave, prana will become our own slave, or it will be under our control. When the prana is under our control, we can direct that prana to the cosmic prana. Make a union between Vyashti and Samashti. Micro and macro can be united. That is what is called union between the Parashakti to Parashiva. So what we have to do, if you want to clean the centers, clean the chakras, send your mind from Mooladhara to Sahasrara, Sahasrara to Mooladhara in a rhythmic way. It's called in Sanskrit, it's called Nada. Nada means rhythm. Learn that. Everybody can do that. Wherever our mind reaches, that area will be properly cleansed.
Okay, Guruji. Guruji, I just want to quickly summarize. So according how in your story, the farmer is constantly engaged in, I want a palace, I want this, I want this. Similarly, we are all going and seeking outside goals. We are using that inner Shakti to achieve outside goals, and then that mind comes to destroy us. Yes, that mind has the power to achieve worldly things, but it becomes completely untamed and undisciplined, and it goes and destroys us. While it does achieve for us, it also destroys us. So then that mind needs to be tamed, and that kind of disciplined activity, which is also very rhythmic, like Guruji said, it's nada. Nada is rhythm. It is a rhythm we create in our nervous system as well. You know, it's just a constant rhythm that we create in our nervous system. And that can happen. Our spinal cord, which even we know in the West has the maximum number of nerve endings, nerves flowing through it. You constantly do that up and down, and you create that rhythm. And when you create that rhythm, you are able to tame the mind to do a job without any active worldly result right there and
Yes.
then. Just as a self exploration, we allow for that to happen. As we allow for that to happen and we tame our mind, we can create this energy flow. One more thing that Guruji said a little earlier today, which was great, was where the mind goes, there the energy flows. You know, you said that
Yeah.
yatha prana tatha
Mana.
mana. Where the mind goes, there the energy flows. So again, you know, the more we will, if these are energies are trapped, naturally we have to just focus our mind there, and automatically, even Guruji has said this many times, that even that's tapasya, right? Is focusing your mind there, automatically that heat is sent in that area, the heat is released, and we can create that energy flow. Right, Guruji?
Yes.
Okay, there are many questions. I don't think we'll be able to take all the questions today. We will because even I have so many questions. So I know we will have to come back to do this. Because Guruji, I don't know if it's a right question to even ask, but hold on, let me once again see some of the other questions that have come up that are relevant. Okay, no, it's not come up here. So Guruji, the thing is, because I want, if can we understand, I know we said that the Swadhisthana is related to Anna and the Manipura is related to water, but can we also talk about the emotions or the glands, right, Guruji? Like today they're saying the adrenals are connected to a certain chakra, and the solar plexus are connected to a certain chakra, and the heart is connected to a certain chakra, and the thyroid is connected to the Vishuddha, and all of that. Is that something that it makes sense, Guruji, because they're so closely actually connected to all the functions of the chakras? But is that something that is that you think has any merit?
Again, these are all for satisfying our curiosity.
I'm very
These
curious.
chakras, these chakras are not only in the body. Again, please understand these things. Now we talked about 7 chakras. These seven chakras are an expansion of 3 basic chakras inside in the deep level. It's called Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, and Rudra Grandhi. That is not very much discussed, it's more deep. In Swadhisthana level, one more hidden gland is there, which called Grandhi, means gland. That is what is called Brahma Grandhi, the creativity. Our creation is through that area. The other one is Vishnu Grandhi. Vishnu Grandhi is the techniques of, or the science of maintenance, preservation. Once we create something, it should be preserved, maintained. Then whatever is preserved has to be destroyed. That is Rudra Grandhi. So birth, life, and death. These 3 Grandhis are there, which are developing into other 7 chakras again. These seven chakras will be multiplied into 108 energy points. That is what is called marma. These marmas, these 108 energy points, are directly in contact with the 108 energy points in our solar system. So many incomprehensible things are there. So if we keep on discussing like this one by one, it's like as if we try to count the waves in the ocean. It is not going to end. If you want to understand, take one molecule of water, understand its essence. From the water level, split it into gases, then split it into heat, split it into air, then split it into sound. Then you will come to know, now I know everything. There, these questions will be answered from within. That is why we call revelation. Actually, nothing is being discovered or invented. It is being revealed. So self-realization is a revelation.
Okay. So what Guruji are saying is that instead of going and constantly satisfying this intellectual curiosity, we start the work of self-exploration. Instead of going to get all of these answers and solve the whole puzzle outside, the moment we go, because you said everything replicates each other in the universe. Once we understand the basic nature of one and go and do that level of self-exploration at one level, everything else starts being revealed to us one by one, just in a very natural, organic manner.
Let's see why I am insisting for the practice. When we get the Kundalini awakening, this is not, like what is explained in the books. The real experience is entirely different than what we read or heard. When we understand the presence of a chakra in our body, it has nothing to do with the literature which we are reading. So, like
It's
a
like
blind
giving
man,
birth.
again, I told you, a blind man is visualizing about the colors.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
what
Guruji.
exactly we are doing. So all our masters very clearly said yoga or the revelation is possible by chitta vritti nirodha. Just arrest the functions of the 5 chakras. Then you experience or expose yourself into the reality. This is what is happening. It must be a transformation, not a translation. Now I can translate my experience to you, but you will catch it, that translation, according to your existing, informations in your brain, which that will not have any connection with my own experience, because words are too limited to express the reality or the experience.
No, Guruji, something just opened up in my mind when you said that right now. Is that, yeah, when you do Chitta Vritti Nirodha, these 5 chakras that are constantly busy, because you said they have become a center of communication with the universal energy. Oh, this is happening, what you're saying, what I'm receiving, this is happening, that is happening. That they're so busy trapping energy in that. When you do Chitta Vritti Nirodha, you're giving it a break from that. You say, hey, messenger, stop for some time. And then you go within and you explore that. You kind of disconnect from that and you explore within and you allow for that cleansing to happen because of Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And then you can make space for the Mooladhara, for the to that energy from the Mooladhara to work upwards. You make time for Mooladhara. You're giving it time for that energy to be lifted, because in that constant engagement of these 5 chakras in the world, they never have the time to go inside.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, Guruji. Yeah, that just suddenly made so much more sense that these 5 chakras, of course, when they're so busy, when are they going to do self work? So Guruji keeps saying this to us, as you know, as this whole intellectual generation, we want to constantly get information and get answers. But Guruji keeps reminding us that it is the work that we have to do.
If I tell you that I experience Raudra Tandava, I see Maharudra, what you will perceive from that? Definitely you will visualize a god dancing like this, because mind is limited. Mind itself is limited. Otherwise it cannot make nama rupa. Nama means name and rupa means shape. Anything which is having the shape is limited. It is not the reality. So I experience the unlimited energy of Maharudra. So how I can bring it into words? But I will give some symbols. Based on that symbols, everybody will make their own shapes or ideologies. It is not the way to explain the reality or the chakra or whatever it is. Like many books explain that this chakra can activate this feeling and that will get connected with other planets in this solar system. How people can visualize this thing? We have to go beyond the senses. Then only we can feel the link between these cosmic sources. 108 energy points in this universe. When we become one with that, this limited feeling of I, me, and mine will vanish, and I will transform myself into that. There only I can declare that, aham Brahmasmi. So when I declare that, nobody is there to listen me, because that oneness doesn't have somebody to talk. That is what is called Dvaita. There are no two when who can speak with the other. So this is so mysterious, and it is beyond comprehension. So either we should go to the essence and the reality, or select a particular area through which we can have our comfortable life. Physical immunity, mental immunity, and spiritual immunity. So we fix our target. Based on the target, we can ask questions. Then it is easy to guide. If somebody is so associated or attached with their material life, and they are talking about the spiritual revelation, how can it be possible? A person wants to fix his life in the earth, and he wants to have this business, name, fame, everything. He is really attached with his material life. And he keeps on asking about the experience of being in the space. How can it be possible? If he wants to understand the experience being in the space, first he should be able, or he should prepare himself to leave the earth. Then only he can go to the space and experience it. By staying and attached in the earth and keep dreaming about the experience of the space is impossible.
Yep. The earth is all density. It's all holding.
Yeah,
This
of
is all
course.
releasing. And you can't hold and release at the same time. So Guruji is saying, yeah, we want to hold. We don't want to hold information, and we want to hold this, and we want to hold that, and hold belongings, and hold jobs, and hold everything.
But again, it is possible, whether we hold or not. Not even one molecule will change in nature. Many people think, oh, I should hold this. This is my business. I should not give up this thing. But if nature decides something, it will happen. That is why we say even a leaf cannot fall without the approval of the cosmic law. We will not blink even our eye without the cosmic approval. Only thing what we can do is search for that law. Then we will be able to understand that you are what you know. When we understand the cosmic law, we will become that. Then we can handle this life in a different way of like handling.
Yes, Guruji. Right now we're handling it with such limited understanding and insecurity, and that's why we want to hold on to everything. But once we
Yes.
become open to understanding that this cosmic law is way beyond our sensory comprehension, it's bigger, it's vaster, it's more powerful, it's more magical than we can imagine. And we start trusting that cosmic law, and we start exploring that cosmic law, automatically that level of asakti and that desperate attachment to our lives today starts shedding off, and we become more and more in touch with the cosmos.
Yes.
And the tapasya starts with, like Guruji said, everything starts with the breath, everything starts with the kumbhak, everything starts with focusing your energy, bring it back home. This is home.
Learn and learn to guide your magical demon and tie him in the spinal cord. Ask him to move up and down. If anybody tries this one continuously more than 4 weeks, it will become a habit and effortless as well.
Absolutely, Guruji. I will vouch for that. And, Jaya is saying, oh, it's so difficult to get away from attachment. I think, Jaya, you don't have to get away from attachment. What Guruji said, the demon story, the minute you start focusing on this, everything will naturally happen. That you don't have to be like, right, Guruji? I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't be attached, I can't be attached, I can't be attached." And that doesn't work. But the more we focus here, everything naturally sheds away. it's a natural process. It's not a forced detachment. That forced detachment creates actually even more attachment. It creates even more insecurity. But it's like kind of just doing, shutting down the senses for that engagement, that constant engagement, and naturally you will find a place inside. And I know, Guruji, because I know I've had this experience talking to you, and practicing has definitely helped a lot. So guys, everybody, let's get back to our practices again. Guruji, I'm certain we will have some more questions. One of the questions that has come up many times right now on the chat, as well as for me as well, Guruji, is that all of the literature that we read here, right, Guruji, associates Swadhisthana with water, with the water element. You said it's associated with the earth element. So,
Exactly.
that it's earth element. Okay, guys, it is earth element. So, so Guruji, we probably will have more Q&As for this topic. It's a big one. And let's all practice and come back and see what we observe coming back to Guruji. All right.
Yes.
Pranam, Guruji. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and your blessings and your
Welcome.
knowledge. Thank you, Guruji.
Yes.
Pranam.
Namaste to all. Thank you.
Namaste.